Hey guys, welcome back. We are actually just going to jump right into this week's video. I was given this table from one of my dad's friends. It's been sitting in his barn for probably at least 20 years. It is in very rough shape. I'm not 100% sure what it is. That's the front right there because you can see the top is curved on that. But when you come around to the back here, there's a cubby. So if anybody knows what this actually is, please let me know below in the comments. First, I decided to vacuum up all the spider webs and dead bugs and everything that was in there. It was quite dirty. And then if you guys have seen any of my videos in the past, you know that if I can take the top off the table, I will take the top off the table. So that is what I decided to do next. The top was actually cracked completely in half, so it is two different pieces. That's the crack right there. And I decided to just unscrew it and I would deal with it separately. Next step was to start to remove off all the paint. I had a feeling that this was lead paint just based off the look of it. Sections of my house are painted in lead paint and they look really chippy and crackly like that. And I have done a lead test on my house, but I didn't have any lead test handy to test on the table. So I started with my go-to stripper, the clean strip, and I let it sit on there for the 15 minutes like you're supposed to. And then when I came in to scrape it off, it wasn't coming off, which is not normal. Usually this stripper just takes everything off for me. I don't have any issues. So I spread the stripper back out around the table and I let it sit on there for about 45 minutes before I came back in to try to scrape it off again. At that point, it did come off, but that was when I was pretty sure that it was lead paint that I was dealing with since it was being so stubborn. I then decided to ask around for some suggestions on lead paint stripper, and a good friend suggested to me lead out. You do have to order this directly from the lead out company. It's not something that you can pick up at your local hardware store. So after I got done scraping all this off, I cleaned it up and I set it aside in the garage and I ordered my lead out and waited for that to arrive. About a week later, my lead out arrived and it does come in a two-part mixture. So it's got the container of gel and then the package of powder that you have to mix together. Just like with regular stripper, you want to put a thick coating on, and I just brushed it on like I normally would as if I was using the clean strip. I let it sit on there for about 3 hours. It does say that it has a time of it could be an hour or up to 24 hours to react. So after 3 hours, I came back in and started to scrape it off, and it came off pretty easily on the part that I put the stripper on the first. You can see it just coming up there. Also, I just wanted to throw it out there that whenever you're working with chemicals or dust or anything like that, hazardous material, please be sure to wear your PPE. I am wearing a respirator, gloves, and glasses to protect myself from all of this. But I was having issues with the rest of the table that got the stripper put on after that first section. So after I scraped off what I could, I went back in and I did another coat of stripper and then I wrapped it up in saran wrap and I just let it sit and basically marinate overnight. The next morning, I went out and I unwrapped everything. And then once I had it all unwrapped, I started scraping it off. And that was the magic trick, was to let it sit overnight because it literally kind of just melted off of the table. So the let out container directed to scrape off with a putty knife and then to clean up with soap and water, and that it was also safe to pressure wash any residue left behind on it. So obviously that was the option that I chose. I probably wouldn't recommend drenching your piece of furniture in this much water if it's not like a sunny, warm day. It was pretty nice out, so this did dry really quick. And I also figured it really couldn't get in any worse condition than it was already in, so why not just pressure wash it? After I was done pressure washing it, I did let it dry out, and then I repeated the stripper process and the pressure washing process one more time and then let it sit out in the sun for a whole day before I moved on to the next step. To repair the cracked top, I just used some Gorilla Glue and clamped it all together and let it dry overnight. So the problem with lead paint is that when it chips or it turns into dust, that's when it becomes dangerous. So there was a few little areas where I couldn't get it out of like the cracks and the crevices. So what you want to do is you want to basically just encapsulate it in. So since I got everything off that was peeling and chipping and everything that was still on there was really stuck on there, I did 2 coats of the Zinsser Bin shellac based primer to really seal in any little pieces or specks of lead paint that I was unable to get off. I then went in with some paintable caulking and filled in all the seams where they were just kind of coming apart or where the paint would crack, just to make that smooth and streamlined. So I put up a poll on my Instagram about a week or so ago about what color I should paint this, and the winner was Mink Brown by Melange. So it's a really kind of like taupey, putty-like brown color, and I am putting this on with my Zebra fan brush, and I did a total of 3 coats. To protect my paint, I am using Polyvine Wax Finish Varnish in the Dead Flat Sheen, and I am applying this with my 2-inch Polyvine brush. If you've been waiting to get Polyvine, Melange does now have it in stock, so that is something you guys can also use my discount code on. I was able to get the lead completely off the top of the table, but I somehow deleted the clip of me sanding it. But here it is sanded, and I am applying Minwax Pre-Stain Wood Conditioner. I let it sit on there for about 5 minutes and then wiped all the excess off with a paper towel. I then went in with General Finishes Antique Walnut Gel Stain and applied it to that and then wiped it back. Gel stain you do have to let dry for about 24 hours before you can really do a second coat, and then you want to let it dry for a good 72 hours before you apply a water-based top coat since it is gel. I did end up doing 2 coats of the stain on it to get the darkness that I wanted. I then also stained the legs in the same way. I did stain both sides of the tabletop, the top and the bottom, and then to protect it, I did 2 coats of Minwax Polyacrylic in a satin finish. Okay, and before we get into the final reveal, let's take a look back and remember what this lead paint covered hot mess looked like. And here is the completed look. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And would you be crazy enough to take on a lead paint covered piece, or is that just me? And remember, this did have two sides, so here is the other side staged. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that so you can get notified and see future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next weekend.